We talk about the fact that markets are crowded. In fact, we say it so much that it's almost like a cliche. Markets are crowded. But I don't think we really understand just how bad this is. So let me give you an example just to freak you out about markets a little bit. This is Scott Brinkler's marketing technology landscape. I like to use this to show how crowded markets actually are. And look at that thing. There's 350 companies on there. How are you supposed to stand out? How are customers supposed to make sense out of this when there are so many other options to choose from? In fact, the first time I came across this slide was in 2012 with 350 companies on it. And I thought, you know what, this can't possibly stay like this. Customers can't figure it out. I bet there's going to be some consolidation over the years. And so I went looking for the 2018 version of this chart recently, and whew, was I wrong? I was so wrong. Now we've got 7,000 products on that chart. That means in 5 years, 6,650 new products have come into this market. And again, this is one slice of the overall big market. In order to help customers understand what we do, we need to stand out from all of this stuff. We need to make sure that customers intuitively understand what we do and why they should care, because our solution is simply one choice in an ocean of choices. Customers, when they encounter something new, they use what they know to make sense out of what they don't. And to do that, they kind of use two big frames. So the first one is market categories. The second one is trends. So market categories help customers answer the question, what is this thing? Why should I care? Trends help us answer the question, why now? Why is this important to me today? Let's start with market categories. So customers use market categories to basically frame a context around what something is. If we go back to Scott's chart, you can see that he's attempted to categorize these solutions by color coding them. So the red things are advertising and promotion, the orange things are content and experience, etc. So it helps us narrow the choices down, but when we declare that our product exists in a certain market category, it actually triggers a bunch of really powerful assumptions that helps tell customers what it is that you are all about. It works a bit like this. If I declare I'm in a certain market, you will automatically think, oh, you're in this particular market, you're an email solution. Who's your competitor? It must be Gmail. What's the price? Well, it should be free or very low cost. What are the features? It probably has an inbox. It probably has a calendar. Who are my target customers? Well, anybody who needs an email solution. Interestingly, even though this is really super important, we almost never position products deliberately. In fact, we almost always use a sort of default positioning, and that default positioning can often get us into a lot of trouble. I'll give you an example. We would go into customers and we would say, hi, what we have is an enterprise CRM, and it would trigger all of these assumptions. The customer would say, well, okay, your competitor must be Siebel. How are you better than Siebel? They would expect us to be priced at around the same level as Siebel. They expect us to have the same features as Siebel. The problem was none of those assumptions were really true. If you compared us to Siebel, we were much less mature. We didn't have nearly the features that Siebel had. We did have a couple of key features going for us. And one of our critical key features we had was an ability to model relationships in a different way than Siebel did. The problem is nobody really understood why that was special. We keep showing it to customers and they were kind of like, we're not actually all that interested in that feature. We had a bit of a breakthrough, however, when we managed to get a meeting with the head of investment banking at a very big investment bank. And we showed them this special feature that we showed everybody else. And this head of investment banking got super excited. He started asking us all these questions. Well, does that mean you can model things in this way? And we said, yes, we could. And he said, well, does that mean I could show if two people had sat on a board together, or people that used to work together, not at the same company. And we said, yeah, you can model that. He said, that's fantastic. And we closed a deal really quickly. So eventually we went back and we asked ourselves, maybe we're not enterprise CRM. Maybe we're CRM for investment banks. Let's sell to investment banks now. When we've sold to a whole bunch of investment banks, then we'll start looking at insurance companies or private client services or retail banks, things that are adjacent. So we made the shift, and this shift was transformational for us. So first of all, in terms of competitive comparisons, we now got to walk in and say, hey, we're CRM for investment banks. And people would say, well, hang on, do you actually compete with Siebel? And we'd say, Siebel, we love those guys. They're fantastic. If you're a call center in India or a manufacturing plant or a retailer, but not you, Captain of the Universe, Wolf of Wall Street, you're special. You need some special stuff. We'd show them our special thing and everybody would get excited. And they wouldn't even really take Siebel as a direct competitor. This was great. The impact on the expectation around pricing was neat too. The feature expectations were different too. So now it was kind of accepted that we weren't going to do everything Siebel did. And we had some extra special banker stuff that got the bankers really excited. And then it was clear who we were for. We could really, really narrow down our marketing and sales targets just on investment banks. So if positioning is so important, and we know that we need to do it deliberately, how do we actually choose the best position for our product? Well, the first thing is your positioning needs to advantage your unique strengths. You can think about it this way. If you look at all the features and functionality or the capabilities of your product, you can look at them as like each of these emojis on this graph. And most of those things are just kind of meh. They're sort of table stakes. Everybody does that stuff. But if you go talk to your best customers, the people that love you, the people that recommend you, the people that would die if you took your product away from them, and you said, what do we do that's really amazing? They will highlight a subset of features that are really your special sauce. These are the fire features that you've got. Those are your true differentiators. These are the things that make you special for the customers that love you the most. And then you can think about markets that overlay those features. So you could look at a market and say, well, we could position ourselves in one particular market or another particular market, but what you actually want to do is draw a circle around the market that contains your key differentiating features. So your best category puts the strengths of your product right in the center. So that's market categories. I want to touch on trends. Trends are important because we can't keep writing the same articles and the same books, and then can't keep doing the same talks about CRM over and over and over again. People want to know what's new and interesting and what's changing. So a lot of the media is really focused on these trends and new things that are helping to shift our understanding of these things. And so buyers will see this across the market and they'll want to learn more about it. They also get worried that they're going to get left behind. Now, here's where it matters for us. You have a particular solution. You need to declare that that solution exists in a market category. Otherwise, we don't know what you are. But if I can overlay a trend on top of that, not only is it easy to understand what you are and why people should care, but there's some urgency around it and you understand why you should care about that right now. If you can get right in the middle of those three things, that's when you got the spicy stuff happening in there. And so let me talk about where you miss the mark and you're not quite in the middle, you're kind of off to one edge. If you're going to be anywhere, you want to be here. If you declare you got a solution and you declare it's in a certain market context, people are going to understand what you're all about. If you don't try to associate with that with some trends, that's okay. Now, where you're going to get into trouble is if you go into one of these other two interstitials. The first one is here where you've defined the solution, you're talking about some trends, but you neglected to tell me what market you're in. Therefore, I have no idea what you are. So you might sound kind of cool, but baffling. The second interstitial is the one over on the right-hand side here, where I got market context. You're talking about the market. You're talking about the trends. You just neglect to associate those with your actual product. This happens sometimes when we get a little carried away talking about the trends, because that's what the media wants to talk about. And, sometimes investors get overly excited about these things. You can't just talk about trends in a market. You got to actually have this stuff make some sense. It just can't be complete baloney. What you want to be is right in the middle. That's it. I want to leave you with a couple of things. So one, you need to think about market categories. You need to do that in a deliberate way. Secondly, you need to think about trends. It's okay if you're not trendy as long as you get the market category stuff right. But if you can figure out a way to bring a trend in it that's relevant and fits with your products and your market, then there's really some magic you can unlock there.